Alright guys, welcome back to another DC Allies Hero overview. Here we have Aquaman, and Aquaman is a very curious case as he is a very divisive figure in the DC universe. A lot of people hate him, not a lot of people think he should be on the Justice League because people think his powers are pretty damn useless. His powers are just super strength and super agility and I guess durability, and he can speak to animals underwater, which grand scheme of things is pretty damn useless, but I think DC Allies took a great direction with him, a very interesting direction, to make people think a little bit, think about playing him a little bit more, because a lot of people will be like, why would I pick him when I can just pick Superman? There's better tanks, right? There's better offensive characters, right? There's better flank characters. Well, what if they made Aquaman a support character? You know, because support characters are kind of that high valued on a team. I mean, this is probably the best direction you can go with Aquaman, to be honest, because even though it doesn't make a lot of sense, he's a big beefy man with a big beefy trident and can basically super punch people into the ground and calls a bunch of animals. It is kind of nice because a lot of people would probably think more about putting him on their team, because, I mean, if he's a support hero, naturally going to want a support hero on your team, and he's going to have more health than the average support hero, so I would actually give him the edge if someone suggested to play Aquaman, because he is a support hero. So his primary Atlantean Trident makes sense. That is his primary weapon across all iterations of the DC universe. It also allows him to uppercut, downcut, and poke the enemy, so it is kind of unique to a sword because of its unique ability to do three things at once, while a sword is just cut, spin, and slash. His passive ability is similar to Jeff the Landshark and Marvel Rivals. It allows him to submerge himself below the ground and heal himself. It is not like Jeff the Landshark, however, because, well, Jeff is limited in how long he can do it. Aquaman has no timer on this, so he could technically just stay underground as much as he wants, which is pretty cool, but there are some characters that can subvert this passive. His first ability, Clamshell, is similar to May from Overwatch. It allows him to put himself into a clamshell to heal himself back to full health, but he can also choose to do this to an ally, and while they're in the clamshell, they are immune from taking all damage, so it's basically a free heal up ability. Heals them all back to full, which is pretty useful, especially if you use it on a tank, because that's like plus 400 health with one ability. Super damn cool. Next ability is Landshark, similar to Venom's ultimate in Marvel Rivals. He can target an enemy and send a shark to barrel towards them underground, and then chomp up with its big jaws, and not only damage that targeted enemy, but also enemies that stand a little too close, so it is a great AoE attack. And then finally, coral pods are similar to Namor squids, except instead of dealing damage, they are coral pods that will stick to anywhere, and he can place two of them at once. As you see the number 2 there, he can have two of them out at a time, and they will not only seek auto lock onto allies, but they will heal them. So the coral pods not only heal allies, but they can do it from anywhere. So they're basically like auto lock turrets, except they heal your allies up to full, basically tripling Aquaman's healing output, which is pretty damn overpowered, especially for a support character. And of course we have the ultimate, which is the Karathan. So of course this is DC's version of the Kraken mythical beast. It is a squid, crab, lobster hybrid armored sea monster. And basically what happens is Aquaman will target an area, and this thing will come up from the ground similar to Venom, but instead it will shower the area in ink, because it is a squid hybrid. So not only will that ink blind all enemies and poison them, because it's poisonous ink, but it'll grab all enemies it can around itself with its tentacles, swirl them around, dealing a bunch of damage, and then leaving, which is a pretty good AoE attack. Not only is it a good triple threat attack for the fact that it blinds, poisons, and grabs, swirls, and disorients enemies, but it's also very useful because it is AoE, so you can hit basically the entire team with this, and also just put it on the objective and just clear the objective. So of course, Aquaman being in the Justice League, he does have one major team up, and that is the B team with other B-listers in the Justice League, Martian Manhunter and Green Arrow. When Aquaman is in play, his coral pods do a very specific addition to their normal healing. They will put out the burn effect. So basically they will put out fire effects. Let's say Firefly or Metamorpho light you on fire. Well, if you're healed by Aquaman's coral pods, they will cleanse you of that burn effect, which is very useful. And it'll also give Martian Manhunter a layer of shielding that protects him against fire attacks, because we all know that he is very vulnerable to fire attacks. It is his #1 weakness. So that's a very good team up there. Also, when Green Arrow's in play, anytime Aquaman and Martian Manhunter get a final hit, they will gain a passive stamina bar, that allows them to gain energy passively to double jump, climb walls, and mantle and slide under shields and hurtle over traps. This is very useful, especially for Aquaman's sake, as he is a very hated hero, as we will see. Aquaman has a lot of nemesis in the DC Allies fandom, and he probably has the most negative team-ups in the game. But it makes sense, he is a support hero and he pretty much has an OP level of healing people, so it makes sense that he does have a few people that would gain his ire. First, of course, is his classic nemesis against Black Mana. We've talked about this in the Black Mana video, but when Aquaman is on the enemy team, Black Mana can sense when he's underground and use his quick melee to pierce Aquaman when swimming under the ground, and he can also use his spinal cord to force Aquaman to surface. Very critical, basically cancels Aquaman's passively with his abilities, which is very destructive to Aquaman's game plan. Another thing is Aquaman's Trident senses the Atlantean steel that covers Black Mana and does 25 to 30% less damage to him. But Aquaman counters with that. He gains an ability called Trident Spin, which allows him to block Black Mana's beam attacks, his eye beams, and his beam attacks from his Black Trident ultimate. And he also gains 25 to 35% lifesteal when using his Trident on him for the Atlantean steel passive regen, which is useful because even though he doesn't deal near as much damage with his Trident against Black Mana, he can passively heal from it, which is a good thing. Another nemesis that Aquaman has is Superman. Superman is the classic of the Justice League. Whenever he turns evil, the Justice League has to deal with him, or he just has classic beefs with some of the Justice League characters because he is the strongest and therefore the one with the most temperament. So of course, when Aquaman is on the enemy team, Superman's super beams can damage him while underground in submersion mode, basically saying, frick you, I can see you underground with my X-ray vision, and I'm going to hit you with my eyes. So yeah, Superman can counter Aquaman's submersion mode, and he's not the only hero that can do so. Another nemesis, why so serious, is Captain Cold versus Aquaman, the second villain nemesis to hit the Aquaman towers. When Captain Cold is on the other team, his Liquid Nitro passive, which allows him to freeze the ground, and his Ray of Frost ability can be used to freeze Aquaman's coral pods, rendering them frozen and unable to heal opponents for 1.5 seconds. This basically means that Captain Cold can passively deactivate Aquaman's coral pods, basically making him one of the best characters to use against Aquaman. Another good thing is Captain Cold's Frozen Heart ability slows down Aquaman for 1 second longer than usual. This means that basically when he shoots his Frozen Icicle to stun Aquaman, it also slows him down after the stun for 1 second as well. Another nemesis is Sinestro. Sinestro has shown that he can use his fear power to make Nemesis fear the ocean, the very seas that he used to rule. So in the Nemesis Fear the Seas, when Sinestro is on the other team, striking Aquaman with his customizable combat know-how temporarily disallows Aquaman his ability to use his submersion passive, meaning that he can't dive under the water and heal himself, and is basically a sitting duck. This basically means that Sinestro cannot only render Aquaman useless, but make him also not only not able to heal himself, but also not able to hide himself or flank with his team, which is very, very damaging. Another nemesis is Aquaman versus Deadshot. This was a Batman the Brave and the Bold reference from when Deadshot was hired to kill Aquaman, and he was able to capture the King of the Ocean with force. When Deadshot is on the other team, he uses his world's deadliest sniper round to sprout a net around Aquaman, making him flop like a fish, which is a very funny animation, for 1.5 seconds. So yeah, very, very niche reference, but also a very funny animation to see a giant, big buff man flop like a fish for 1.5 seconds. Very funny. And another nemesis, of course, is another niche reference. This is a niche reference to the Justice League, the animated series, when Metamorpho came onto the scene. This time, though, Aquaman is the nemesis of Metamorpho, and therefore Aquaman actually has the upper hand in this negation thing. He is a negative counter to Metamorpho, because when Metamorpho is on the other team, he takes 40 to 50 less damage from his primary fire cast, meaning that Aquaman can basically walk up to Metamorpho and wreck his dome without taking near as much damage as anyone else. Aquaman is also immune to burn damage, so he is immune to the burn effect. So when he is lit on fire, he is basically immune to it. So Metamorpho's fiery forearm does little to nothing against him because it is based almost solely on igniting and then exponentially burning its victim. And that will do it for this video, guys. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, like if you like, dislike if you don't, subscribe down below if you're new to the channel. And I'll see you guys with the next hero overview. Toodaloo!